Deuteronomy 1. The final speeches of Moses. This book contains the speeches that Moses made while Israel was in the land of Moab, camped near the town of Sut in the desert east of the Jordan River. The town of Paran was in one direction from their camp, and the town of Topel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Dijahab were the opposite direction. Earlier, Moses had defeated the Amorite king Sihon of Heshbon. Moses had also defeated King Og of Bashan, who used to live in Ashtaroth for part of the year and in Edilei for the rest of the year. Although it takes only 11 days to walk from Mount Sinai to Kadesh Barnea by way of the Mount Seir, these speeches were not made until 40 years after Israel left Egypt. The first speech, Moses reviews the past. The Lord commands the Mount Sinai. The Lord had given Moses his laws for people of Israel. And on the first day of 11th month, Moses began explaining those laws by saying, People of Israel, when we were in our camp at Mount Sinai, the Lord our Lord told us, You have stayed here long enough. Leave this place and go into the land that belongs to the Amorites and their neighbors, the Canaanites. This land includes the Jordan River Valley, the hill country, the western foothills, the southern desert, the Mediterranean sea coast, the Lebanon mountains, and all the territories as far as the Euphrates River. I gave you this land just as I promised you, your ancestor Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now you must go and take the land. Leaders were appointed, Moses said. Right after the Lord commanded us to leave Mount Sinai, I told you, Israel, being your leader is too big a job for one person. The Lord our God has blessed us, and so now there are so many of us as there are stars in the sky. God has even promised to bless us 1,000 times more, and I pray that He will. But I can't take care of all our problems and settle all our arguments alone. Each tribe must choose some experienced men who are known for their wisdom and understanding, and I will make those men the official leader of their tribes. You answered, That's a good idea. Then I took these men who were already wise and respected leaders, and I appointed them as your official leaders. Some of them became military officers in charge of a group of 1,000 or 100 or 50 or 10, and others became judges. I gave these judges the following instructions. When you settle legal cases, your decision must be fair. It doesn't matter if the case is between two Israelites or between an Israelite and a foreign living in our community. And it doesn't matter if one is average and the other is powerful. Don't be afraid of anyone, no matter who shows up in your court. God will help you make a fair decision. If any case is too hard for you, bring the people to me, and I will make the decision. After I gave this instruction to the judges, I thought you wrote commands. Men were sent to explore the hill country. Moses said to Israel, the Lord had commanded us to leave Mount Sinai and go to the hill country that belonged to the Amorites. So we started out into the huge desert. You remember how fighting it was, but soon we were at Kadesh Barnea, and I told you we have reached the hill country. It belongs to the Amorites now, but the Lord our God is giving it to us. He is the same God our ancestors worshipped, and He has told us to go in and take this land. So don't hesitate and be afraid. Then all of you came to me and said, before we go into the land, let's send some men to explore it. When they come back, they can tell us about the towns we'll find and what roads we should take to get there. It seemed like a good idea, so I chose 12 men, one from each tribe. They explored the hill country as far as Bunch Valley, and even brought back some of their fruit. They said, the Lord our God is giving us good land. Israel refused to obey the Lord. Moses said to Israel, you did not want to go into the land, and you refused to obey the Lord your God. You stayed in your tent and grumbled. The Lord must hate us. He brought us out of Egypt just so He could hand us over to the Amorites and get rid of us. We are afraid because the man who explored the land told us that the cities are large with walls and that reach to the sky. The people who live there are taller and stronger than we are, and some of them are Anakim. We have now here nowhere to go. Then I said, don't worry, the Lord our God will lead the way. He will fight on our side, just as He did when we saw Him do all those things to the Egyptians. And you know that the Lord has taken care of us the whole time we've been in the desert, just as you might carry one of your children. But you still would not trust the Lord, even though He had always been with us in the desert. During the daytime, the Lord was in the cloud, leading us in the right direction and showing us where to camp. And at night, He was there in the fire. You had made the Lord angry, and He said, you people of this generation are evil, and I refuse to let you go into the good land that I promised your ancestors. Caleb, son of Jephunneh, is only one of your generation that I will allow to go in. He obeyed me completely, so I will give him and his descendant and land he explored. The Lord was even angry with me because of you people, and He said, Moses, I won't let you go into the land either. Instead, I will let Joshua, your assistant, lead Israel to conquer the land. So encourage him. Then the Lord spoke to you again. People of Israel, you said that your innocent young children will be taken prisoner in the battle for the land. But someday I will let them go into the land, and with my help they will conquer it and live there. Now turn around and go back into the desert by way of Red Sea Road. Then you told me, you disobeyed the Lord our God, but now we want to obey him. We'll go into the hill country and fight, just as he told us to do. So you picked up your weapons, thinking it would be easy to take over the hill country. But the Lord said, Moses, warn them not to go into the hill country. I won't help them fight, and their enemies will defeat them. I told you what the Lord had said, but you paid no attention. You disobeyed him and went into the hill country anyway. You thought you were so great. But when the Amorites in the hill country attacked from their towns, you ran from them as you would run from a swarm of bees. The Amorites chased your troops into Seir as far as Homar, killing them as they went. Then you came back to the place of worship at Kadesh Barnea and wept, but the Lord would not listen to your prayers. Israel spent years in the desert. Moses said to Israel, after we had been in Kadesh for a few months, we obeyed the Lord and headed back into the desert by way of Red Sea Road. Deuteronomy 2. We spent many years wandering around outside the hill country of Seir, until Lord said, Moses, Israel has wandered in this hill long enough. Turn and go north and give the people these orders. Be very careful, because you will soon go through the land that belongs to your relatives, the descendants of Esau. They are afraid of you, but don't start a war with them. I have given them the hill country of Seir, so I won't give any of it to you, not even enough to set the foot on. And as you go through their land, you'll have to buy food and water from them. The Lord had helped us and taken care of us during the past 40 years that you have been in this huge desert. We have everything we needed, and the Lord has blessed us and made us successful in whatever we have done. We went past the territory that belonged to our relatives and descendants of Esau. We followed Araba Road, the start in south of Elath, and Ezion Geba. Then we turned on to the desert road that led to Moab. The Lord told me, Don't try to start a war with Moab. Leave them alone, because I gave the land or are to them. I will not let you have any of it. Tribes that lived near Canaan. Before the Lord gave the Moabites their land, a large and powerful tribe lived there. They were the Emim, and they were as tall as the Anakim. The Moabites called them Emim. Though others sometimes used the name Rephaim for both the Anakim and Emim. The Horites used to live in Seir, but the Edomites took over that region. They killed many of the Horites and forced the rest of them to leave, just as Israel did to people in the land that the Lord gave them. Israel crossed the Jared George. Moses said to Israel, when we came to the Jared George along the southern border of Moab, the Lord told us to cross the George into Moab, and we did. This was 38 years after we left Kadesh Barnea. By that time, all the men who had been in the army at Kadesh Barnea had died, just as the Lord had said they would. The Lord kept getting rid of them until finally none of them were left. Then the Lord told me, Moses, now go past the town of Ar and cross Moab's northern border into Ammon. But don't start a war with the Amorites. I gave them their land. I won't give any of it to Israel. More nations that lived near Canaan. Before the Ammonites conquered the land that the Lord had given them, some of the Rephaim used to live there, although the Ammonites called them Jamjumin. The Jamjumin were a large and powerful tribe and were as tall as the Anakim. But the Lord helped the Ammonites. They killed many of Jamjumim and forced the rest to leave. Then the Ammonites settled there. The Lord helped them as he had helped the Edomites, who killed many of Horites in Seir and forced the rest to leave. Before settling there themselves, a group called the Avim used to live in village as far south as Gaza. But the Palestinians killed them and settled on their land. Israel crossed the Arnon George. Moses said, after we went through Ammon, the Lord told us, Israel, pack up your possessions, take down your tent, and cross the Arnon River George. The territory of the Ammonite king Sihon of Heshbon lies on the other side of the river, but I now give you his land. So attack and take it. Today I will start making all other nations afraid of you. They will tremble with fear when anyone mentions you. and they will be terrified when you show up. The defeat of King Sihon of Heshbon. Moses said to Israel, after we had crossed the Arnon and had set up camp in the Kedamoth desert, I sent messengers to King Sihon of Heshbon, telling him that his nation and ours could be at peace. I said, please let Israel go across your country. We'll walk straight through without turning off the Lord. You can even sell us food and water, and we'll pay with silver. We need to reach the Jordan River and cross it, because the Lord our God is giving us the land on the west side. The Edomites and Moabites have already let us cross their land. Please let us cross your land as well. But Sihon refused to let us go across his country, because the Lord made him stubborn and eager to fight us. The Lord told me, I am going to help you defeat Sihon and take his land. So take him. When we met Sihon and his army in battle at Jahaz, and the Lord our God helped us defeat them. We killed Sihon, his sons, and everyone else in his army. Then we captured and destroyed every town in Sihon's kingdom, killing everyone, but keeping the livestock and everything else of value. The Lord helped us capture every town from the Arnon River, George, north to the boundary of Gilead, including the town of Arloer on the edge of the George and the town in the middle of the George. However, we stayed away from all the Ammonite towns, both in the hill country and near the Jabbok River, just as the Lord had commanded. Deuteronomy 3. The defeat of King Og of Bashan. Moses said to Israel, when he turned unto the Lord that led to Bashan, King of Og of Bashan led out his whole army to fight us at Edrei. But the Lord told me, Moses, don't be afraid of King Og. I'm going to help you defeat him and his army and take over his land. Destroy him and his people, just as you did with the Amorite king Sihon of Heshbon. The Lord our God helped us destroy Og and his army and conquer his entire kingdom of Bashan, including the Argob region. His kingdom had lots of villages and 60 towns with high walls and gates that locked with bars. We completely destroyed them all, killing everyone but keeping the livestock and everything else of value. Sihon and Og had ruled Amorite kingdoms east of the Jordan River. Their land stretched from the Arnon River, George, in the south to Mount Hermon in the north, and we captured it all. Mount Hermon is called Mount Sirion by the people of Sidon, and it is called Mount Senir by the Amorites. We captured all the towns in the highlands, all of Gilead, and all of Bashan, as far as Saleka and Edrei, two of the towns that Og had ruled. Og's confine. King Og was the last of the Rephaim, and his confine is the town of Rabbah in Ammon. It is made of hard black rock, and it is 4 meters long and also 2 meters wide. The land east of Jordan River is divided. Moses said to Moses, Israel, I gave some of the land and towns we captured to the tribe of Reuben and Gad. Their share started at the Arnon River Gorge in the south, took in the town of Aroer on the edge of the Gorge, Gorge, and went far enough north to include the southern half of the Gilead region. The northern part of their land went as far east as the upper Jabbok River Gorge, which formed their border with the Ammonites. I also gave them the eastern side of the Jordan River Valley from Lake Galilee south to the Dead Sea, below the slope of Mount Pisgah. I gave the northern half of Gilead and all of the Bashan region to half the tribe of Manasseh. Bashan had belonged to King Og, and the Argob region in Bashan used to be called the land of the Rephaim. Jair from the Manasseh tribe conquered the Argob region as far west as the kingdom of Geshur and Makkah. The Israelites even started calling Bashan by the name village of Jair, and that is still its name. I gave the northern half of Gilead to the Machir clan. At the time, I told the name of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh. The Lord our God told me to give you this land with its towns, and that's what I have done. Now, your wives and children can stay here with your large flocks of sheep and goats and your large herd of cattle. But all of you men that can serve in our army must cross the Jordan River and help the other tribes because they are your relatives. The Lord will let them defeat the enemy nations on the west side of the Jordan and take their land. Afterwards, you can come back here to the land I gave you. Then I told Joshua, you saw how the Lord our God helped us destroy King Sihon and King Og. So don't be afraid. Where you go, the Lord will fight on your side and help you destroy your enemies. God refused to let Moses enter Canaan. Moses said to Israel, at the time I prayed and begged, our Lord, it seems that you have just begun to show me your great power. No other God in the sky or on earth is able to do the mighty things that you do. The land west of the Jordan is such good land. Please let me cross the Jordan and see the hills and the Lebanon mountains. But the Lord was angry with me because of you people, and he refused to listen. That's enough, he said. I don't want to hear anymore. Climb to the top of a mountain, Pisgah, and look north, south, east, and west. Take a good look, but you are not going to cross the Jordan River. Joshua will lead Israel across the Jordan to take the land. So help him be strong and brave and tell him what he must do. After this, we stayed in the valley at Bethel Peor. Deuteronomy 4. Israel must obey God. Moses said, Israel, listen to these laws and teachings. If you obey them, you will go in and take the land that the Lord is giving you. It's the God your ancestors worshipped, and now He is your God. I'm telling you everything He has commanded, so don't add anything or taking anything away. You saw how He killed everyone who worshipped the god Baal's bull. But all of you what were faithful to the Lord, your God, are still alive today. No other nation has law that are as fair as the one the Lord, my God, told me to give you. If you faithfully obey them when you enter the land, you will show other nations how wise you are. In fact, everyone that hears about your law will say, the great nation certainly is wise. And what makes us greater than other nations? We have a God who is close to us and answers our prayers. You must be very careful not to forget the things you have seen God do for you. Keep reminding yourselves and tell your children and grandchildren as well. Do you remember the day you stood in the Lord's presence at Mount Sinai? The Lord said, Moses, bring the people of Israel here. I want to speak to them, so they will obey me as long as they live, and so they will teach their children to obey me too. Mount Sinai was surrounded by deep, dark clouds, and the fire went up to the sky. You came to the foot of the mountain, and the Lord spoke to you from the fire. You could hear Him and understand what He was saying, but you couldn't see Him. The Lord said He was making an agreement with you, and He told you that your part of the agreement is to obey the 10 Commandments. Then the Lord wrote these commandments on 2 flat stones. That's when the Lord commanded me to give you the laws and teaching you must obey in the land. Then you will conquer west of the Jordan River. Don't worship idols, Moses said to Israel. When God spoke to you from the fire, He was invisible, so be careful not to commit the sin of worshipping idols. Don't make idols to be worshipped, whether they are shaped like man, woman, animal, birds, reptiles, or fish. And when you see the sun or moon or stars. Don't be tempted to bow down and worship them. The Lord put them there for all the other nations to worship. But you are the Lord people, because He rescued you from Egypt and fiery furnace. The Lord was angry with me because of what you said, and He told me that He would not let me across the Jordan River into the good land that He is giving you. So I must stay here and die on His side of the Jordan. But you will cross the river and take the land. Always remember the agreement that the Lord your God made with you, and don't make an idol in any shape or form. The Lord will be angry if you worship other gods, and it can be like a fire, destroying everything in its path. Soon you will cross the Jordan River and settle down in the land. Then in the year to come you will have children, and they will give you grandchildren. After many years you might lose your sense of right and wrong and make idols, even though the Lord your God hates them. So I am giving you fair warning today, and I call the earth and sky as witnesses. If you ever make idols, the Lord will be angry, and you won't have long to live, because the Lord will let you be wiped out. Only a few of you will survive, and the Lord will force you to leave the land and will scatter you among the nations. There you will have to worship gods made of wood and stone, and these are nothing but idols. They can't see or hear or eat or smell. In all of your troubles, you may finally decide that you want to worship only the Lord. And if you turn back to Him and obey Him completely, He will again be your God. The Lord your God will have mercy. He won't destroy you or desert you. The Lord will remember His promise, and He will keep the agreement He made with your ancestors. When the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt, you saw how He fought for you and showed His great power by performing terrifying miracles. You became His people, and at Mount Sinai you heard Him talking to you out of fiery flames. And you're still alive. Has anything like this ever happening since the time God created humans? No matter where you go or who you ask, you'll get the same answer. No one has ever heard of another God that even trying to do such things as the Lord your God has done for you. The Lord wants you to know He is the only true God, and He wants you to obey Him. That's why He let you see His mighty miracles and His fierce fire on earth, and why you heard His voice from that fire and from the sky. The Lord loved your ancestors and decided that you would be His people. So the Lord used His great power to bring you out of Egypt. Now you face other nations more powerful than you are, but the Lord has already started forcing them out of their land and giving it to you. So remember that the Lord is the only true God, whether in the sky above or on the earth below. Today, I am explaining his laws and teachings, and if you always obey them, you and your descendants will live long and be successful in the land that the Lord is giving you. Safe towns. Moses said, people of Israel, you must set aside the following 3 towns each of the Jordan River as safe towns. Bezer in the desert highlands belonging to the Reuben tribe, Ramoth in Gilead belonging to the Gad tribe, and Goran in Bashan belonging to the Manasseh tribe. If you kill a neighbor without meaning to, and if you had not been angry with that person, you can run to one of these towns and find safety. The second speech. Moses tells what the Lord demands Israel at Beth Peor. The Israelites had come from Egypt and were camped east of Jordan River near Beth Peor. Then, when Moses gave these laws and teachings, the land around their camp had once belonged to King Sihon of Heshbon. But Moses and the Israelites defeated him, and King Og of Bashan, and took their land. The 2 Amorite kings had ruled the territory east of the Jordan River. From the town of Aroer on the edge of the Arnon River Gorge, north of Mount Hermon, the land included the eastern side of the Jordan River Valley as far south as the Dead Sea below the slope of Mount Pisgah.